Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. I am Dylan.
And I'm Vinny, and today we're going to talk about some of the wild news for us Alibaba shareholders this week, particularly surrounding the invasion of Taiwan or potential thereof, and also a little bit about SoftBank and their selling of Alibaba shares. But with that, we're going to get into the news from this week.
Two Super Guys Trade Stocks.
More bad
Yeah.
news, Vinny.
It definitely interesting. Generally the way this kind of video happened, Dylan texted me was like, "Hey, why the hell is Baba down 6%?" I was like, "Did China actually invade?" I was like, "First of all, if they actually invade, it's going to be 60%, not 6%."
Hold
But
on. I did not say did they invade. I said, do you think they're going to? I know how to use Google. It was
Okay, I gotcha. So yeah, past 5 days, down 6% for Alibaba stock, which is honestly within the realm of uncertainty for them on a weekly basis. Not entirely unreasonable.
that's true.
Yeah, the news story there, this kind of little cliff here is really what they're responsible for the news surrounding the kind of elevated tensions. That the Chinese were conducting another military operation in terms of a training exercise surrounding the potential invasion of Taiwan. Pretty unfortunate stuff that they keep escalating this. Just as we were starting to think maybe we would have a little bit of clarity as Alibaba shareholders getting past all this like delisting risk and all this other garbage and the financial audits. And now China and the U.S. want to step up tensions over Taiwan.
I think it's. I mean, Burry's still in it,
Burry, you mean Munger?
right? Yeah. Sorry. Jeez.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah, Munger's still in it. But I mean, don't forget where we've come from. We're still up 16% in a freaking month.
Yeah. No. It's. I mean, you can't expect. Obviously, we want it to be back to our buy points, like 120, right? But 16% a month is still pretty outrageous. And if you look at some of the other Chinese stocks, they're actually not doing as well. So for once, Baba is outperforming. So yay.
Yeah, I actually think compared to other kind of stocks within China. So this was an unfortunate kind of part of this. This is brand new article from today. I don't know if you and I talked about this, but the gentleman that got arrested for these kind of Pentagon leaks, 20 minutes from my house.
What, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I literally have driven through that area before. It's pretty wild to think that like that's where this stuff was coming from. But this certainly is going to add more fuel to this fire. Thanks for that, buddy. As an Alibaba shareholder and a goddamn American, I don't need this crap. More stress in my life. But some of the documents that he leaked allegedly kind of detail the Taiwanese air defense and their preparedness or lack thereof, which is a scary thought because now China knows that, and that we surmise that.
So, I mean, we would have to assume China probably already knew that, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
well, I mean
it's
to a degree, but this is where it gets a little bit scary here, right? So this is based upon their own internal assessments. All right. So this is you reporting your weakness now to your enemy.
okay. Solid, bold strategy, Cotton. Okay.
Well, they didn't intentionally do it. This
No,
this
yeah.
was this leak, right? But basically they're saying that Taiwan is unlikely for the Chinese military air superiority mission in the cross-strait conflicts. All right. And now that they are disguising some of their potential invasion force as civilian ships, that the U.S. ability to respond to this is going to be delayed. There was even another place where it talked a little bit about the fact that China likely has some sort of space war technology, right? And that they think they'd might be able to impact our satellites and our ability to detect this invasion earlier and respond to it as fast as we would, someone that wasn't so technologically advanced.
I thought
Scary.
their technology was air balloons that just fly over the U.S.
Yeah.
I thought that was the
Yeah.
extent.
That's what they're going to do. Just release a whole cadre of those things across the strait. That's pretty much what's going to happen. But this is coming from actual Taiwanese officials saying they doubt their air defenses can accurately detect missile launches. Is that a scary statement?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't. I mean, obviously, they didn't leak it. Someone else did. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's not good. That's bad.
And this next line too here, and barely more than half of their aircraft are fully mission capable.
So, are you familiar with Peter Zion,
No.
something like that? Um, I mean, he says some outrageous things. Don't get me wrong, but he's essentially said that China would never invade Taiwan just because of their growing population problems and how they're all getting older, and their newer generation. They don't have enough, essentially, of an incoming generation to stage a war.
Okay.
I don't know enough about it. I heard that. It's kind of interesting.
Interesting thought. I mean, people make stupid decisions all the time, but
True.
I just it's startling that we now have this kind of data out here, or kind of information on the unpreparedness of Taiwan for an invasion, and this is coming from a U.S. leak source. So nice to betray an ally like that, and from a shareholder perspective of Alibaba, which is yeah, obviously we care about world politics and lives and stuff like that, but we always have to have our own like kind of angle on things, and that definitely scares me a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so this is another kind of point from I think this is all this from my favorite article. This is from Washington Post. The lowest point in decades concerns continue to grow about the potential conflict between Taipei and People's Liberation Army, and then of course big size, but that doesn't always happen.
14 times. That's not ideal.
Well, sure, but if you're going to be invading, you're invading upon a water protected
Yeah.
enemy here, like you're going to need a multiple of the defenders in order to be able to even have a chance. That's what Sun Tzu would say, right?
Oh boy.
So, and Z has flat out given a timeline for this, and that he thinks that he wants his army to be capable of this invasion by the PLA centennial, which is 2027. So it's not that far off, unfortunately.
So don't hold past 2026. So our 10-year Baba plan is now 3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way of looking at it. But the main kind of like point I wanted to make here was we're continuing to escalate these tensions. If you see this article right here, this is also brand new stuff from Bloomberg talking about the U.S. secured additional military bases in the Philippines, and you're going to laugh when you see the map here in a second. What do you think the purpose of these military bases is?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you've ever played Risk? You got to get your pieces in place first before you make your attack. I mean, Jesus
100%.
Christ.
Yeah, that's pretty condemning.
Yeah, that's a little scary, unfortunately. And continuing to escalate. This is also, like I said, this is an article from today, so this is like really fresh stuff that's just currently evolving.
Yeah, so they literally got it as close to Taiwan as they can possibly put it.
Yeah, without actually being in Taiwan, basically, I just kind of wanted to maybe look at most recent kind of example of something similar, because I'm thinking like if this happens, do I immediately just sell my Baba shares, which is something I've told myself I would do in the past, but I want to kind of reevaluate that in light of modern kind of understanding and knowledge, kind of more fresh stuff. So this is actually the Russian stock index. Take a guess where the invasion of Ukraine took place.
Yikes! Yeah, well, I mean, their currency also like went to trash too, right? I'm actually kind of surprised it's on an upward trend. It looks like it actually broke out.
Yeah, I know, right? It might be time to buy some calls. So this is the whole aggregate, right? This is the whole index, and the kind of most famous, I guess, of Russian individual equities would be Gazprom, right? They're kind of public-private entity for oil and gas production. So I wanted to look at them in particular. Yeah, it's surprising to me that it did not have as large an impact as the market as a whole, and once again, also continuing now, kind of put in a base level and is reassuming an upward trajectory.
I would have thought it would have been worse. So what you're saying is looking at Russia's invasion over Ukraine. This is what we could expect if China did to Taiwan, relatively. So not to zero is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I expected it to be much more significant. Like that's why I joked with Dylan. I was like, it'd be 60%. Which, yeah, you could see probably an initial move like that. I still think personally that I would just be out at that point, though. That was kind of what I wanted to debate with you here a little bit. Would you, seeing this kind of stuff as far as the rebound, would you still hold Baba? You would just take your loss and walk away?
Well, here's the problem, because it would be reasonable to assume, what's it at, like $95 right now?
Yeah, about that.
The problem is it trades around the clock, and we aren't able to touch it when it makes big moves, right? So, I mean, that's one of the issues. So theoretically, let's say they invade, it could just open at $50. So I mean, there's nothing we can. There'd be no warning. It would just happen, and there's.
Yeah.
So at that point, do you hold? I mean, you already lost. You already lost a bunch. You already lost 50%. So
Yeah, I don't think it would be worth it at that point. That's a deal breaker for me. That if China invades Taiwan, I will sell my Alibaba shares at the earliest possible opportunity and walk away from the company.
I agree. I probably would too, because I don't see it going up.
Do you think maybe that's what SoftBank is doing? Because that was the other news story this week.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they're selling like everything though, right? So it's not.
Yeah.
It sounds like they overextended just like multiple regional banks, and they're trying to essentially have cash for losses, is what I was reading into this.
Cash is king, right? Especially in these uncertain economic times. And right now, cash is paying pretty well. You're getting 4% on U.S. government treasuries. So it's hard to argue with raising cash at this point in time. And don't forget that their cost basis on Alibaba is like abysmal. They were like a pre-IPO investor here. Okay, so this is still a massive gain for them.
Yeah.
I think they said that the average sell price for them has been around $100 a share throughout the entire distribution here. But it's still worth paying attention to, because they obviously were a large holder at one point, holding 34% of Alibaba. Now it's down to 3.8%, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to raise cash, we don't know their whole financial situation, right? I mean, the banks just reported earnings, and some of the big banks are doing okay, but regional banks, like they're having significant outflows of accounts. So,
Yeah, definitely an interesting thing. So that was kind of the major news stories as far as Alibaba this week. I just wanted to put that out there. Like, that's still my position, that I would sell my Alibaba shares if invasion of Taiwan is announced. And SoftBank thing, yeah, interesting, but not really a major mover in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that the down 6% was more in relation to the Taiwan deal. But as far as I'm not as up to date as you. That's already kind of backed out, right? They already eased off, and
yeah,
it was immediately
just another military training exercise. It was less actually aggressive than the one they did after Nancy Pelosi was there, where they were literally shooting missiles and flying jets like over Taiwan. This one was not. They said not quite to that same degree, but it was another kind of large invasion-oriented kind of military mission near Taiwan to flex a little bit, say that like we could do this if we wanted to, but we're not, but we could.
And then we moved our bases. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Let us know what you think. Have a good one.